Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on chess.com and I just got paired up playing a 3-2 game against Matrix Algebra 1. Let's try for a King's Indian attack against the French. Alright, knight d2. Black could, okay, they're not going to go for it. Sometimes there's a capture and then a quick e5, so let's see if I could go after the black king. Okay, black is electing to deploy their knight there, huh? So I won't be able to get an e5 with some tempo. Let's get castling in. And now a little bit of a moment to think here. Rook to e1. Yeah, probably rook to e1 next. Knight to h4 might be an idea to then think about expanding with f4. And so maybe I have a little bit of a decision here. My next move, okay, they're going there. I think I like this idea, especially now since they've weakened their light squares. This might be an idea. Queen h5. Look to soften up their king side. I expect castles. Maybe I could get in f4, f5. I'm not sure exactly about that shift in the structure. But yeah, the main idea with this is to get in f4. Should I go with f5? I'm not quite sure. But I think this is a good idea. Set forth a pawn duo. Let's give it a shot. This knight is restricted. This pawn on d5 has some pressure on it twice. Not quite sure what to do with my d2 knight. I like to see this pawn flinch. Don't know if I can make that happen. c4 would really weaken d4. Don't want to do that. I don't know if this is correct, playing f5. I could give it a shot. I think after just captures, I don't know what the great follow-up would be. I'm going to kind of play a little bit of a waiting game. I think my king is a little bit safer on h1. Not quite sure what to do with my pawn duo. So let's make a quick move. It's kind of like a passing move, non-committal move. Let's see what black does. Queen c7 is a nice way to improve, I think. Yeah, queen c7, rook a to e8 are nice, useful moves. And I'm kind of running out of useful moves. Yeah, queen c7, so I'm going to have to make a decision at some point. Maybe c3. Just to rule out knight to d4. Let's give that a shot. c3. Maybe I can consider moving this knight, but I'm a little bit fearful of my knight getting stranded if I step on f3. He's kind of short on squares. Maybe I could play queen h5 just to see how they react. Maybe induce some weakening move. Queen h5, bishop here. Okay. I kind of like seeing that move. I don't think knight c4 is a good idea. Let's just go here. They have a space advantage on the queen side. A knight c4 move will be kicked with b5. I could slow it down for a little bit, but in time, I can't really rely upon the c4 square for my knight. Prep moves a6, b5. King move there, so queen here. Let's actually rule out knight b5 first. Knight b4. Okay. I may actually think about playing a4. I think I actually like that, because they have a space advantage on the queen side. I think I want to lock down on the queen side here. a4, knight b1, a3, b5. Do I have time for that? Do I have some concern about g5? I think they might be lining that up, and so this idea playing on the queen side is probably a bit too slow. g5 and on takes, maybe they take advantage of the fact that I'm behind in development. These guys aren't playing just yet. Maybe, yeah, actually this is being lined up. I'm not even winning a pawn. So maybe I should play knight to f3. Or I kind of like this move. Queen h5. The bishop here to chase her away, but then I'll play to e2 and claim just a hair of success. They underdeveloped, and I play queen to e2 as if I just developed. They'll have to move that bishop again, so okay, queen to e2 it is. Now this is weakened. Okay, they took care of that. Now maybe I could consider this f5 move. Or maybe still revisit this idea of a4 and then sink my knight into b5. I like this. Gotta make a decision quick. Will I have time for that? I'm going to reason that I do have time for that. Let's give it a shot. Knight b1, knight a3, bishop d2. If I have a few more moves, I like my position. Also, with my knight not on d2, g5 is harder to get in. And this would actually be a much... they'd have a much more weakened king position. Let's go for this. Knight b4, I think he's... It's a nice square for the knight, but... maybe we both end up with pieces that are on good squares, but... I don't know. This bishop would be tucked back. Is my knight maybe out of play? He's on a good square, but... I don't know. Maybe I could try to connect him in some way. A knight on b5, connected with e5. They're less than 20 seconds. Didn't consider that move. I think I have to take. Let's take. And I guess go right in for knight to b5. What else is he going to do? I came this way. I came this way for a reason. If you say A and B, I guess you have to go with C. Well, the taking with the pawn, that's surprising. I guess their king is going to start to book. Go in this direction, huh? Ooh, that's a super surprising move. Huh. Alright, playing f5. I don't want to give this square up. Okay, this has to be good for me. Yeah, I'm going to take with the pawn. Yeah, let's take with the pawn. Are they going to play e4? I think they have to. I could have also taken the bishop. That's surprising. I think they should have played e5, some type of pawn sack. Now this knight. Tricky guy. Tricky guy is that knight. Let's go like this. Push g5. Be very direct. Let's keep going. And play on the g file. I'm hitting the rook. Let's get here. Get my other rook working. Let's go here. Less than 10 for me. And just pile up on the g file. Throw my knight in here. Timely knight move. Triple up. Triple trouble. That can't work. Yeah, just sneaking in now, huh? I want to take with the piece. Oh, they resigned. Yeah, it was too much pressure. Yeah, this is, I don't know. Not sure what to say here. Let's go into the analysis real quick. Well, not the, I'm not going to bring up Stockfish just yet, but right around this moment, I mean, clearly, you heard I wasn't quite sure what to do. Non-committal move, king h1. I have to make a decision at some point. I wonder if, well, for one, these structural, these pawn advances are certainly the moves to investigate, and we'll have a look at them. But I don't know that this really helped black. I think they would have done better to still sit with this d5 pawn, retain some possibilities of a capture or a push. For my part, I don't see myself capturing on d5. I don't know. I think they should leave that pawn sitting. Maybe get one more useful move in. Rook a to e8. Play it maybe a little bit slower. I felt a little bit comfortable after this slight shift. After the C and D files were kind of locked down. And I think a direction black could go for, or a direction black can go in, is maybe starting with a4 actually, and then try for a b5 break, playing on the side where they have a space advantage, and still leave this pawn duo right here to combat these guys. Be interested to see what kind of tactics were missed. I wonder a little bit about, I mean, they played king h8. and I assumed it was prepping some strike with g5 and maybe even some sacrifices on these dark squares, g3. Maybe the queen sweeping down here, hitting the knight, hitting d3. I don't know. These things were running through my mind. I wasn't able to really voice them during the game. But, it was tough to really come up with a plan. I think we were both experiencing that feeling in the game. You know, we're both throwing our king in here to the corner squares. h5, queen e2. Yeah, I guess this is alright. Maybe this decision was a bit too much. They did take some time on that recapture. I think holding the structure as, you know, keeping it as is important. I think they had it in their mind where they were going to run, you know, in this direction and then maybe play on the H file. You know, if they have enough time, that's something, you know, I'd have to be on the lookout for, but I think that was the reasoning, at least, that Black gave for this capture. They wanted to eventually have their king here and throw the rooks on the H file and look to attack my king. But there's a lot of time needed for that. So knight to b5. I expected actually the bishop to just drop all the way back and kind of say, you know what, yeah, your knight is in a good square, but you know, this bishop is fine where he's at. He's still functioning on a pretty good diagonal, and there isn't really a good follow-up with the knight, although, as mentioned, I was considering tying a piece or trying to connect him in some way with e5, and then maybe knight to d6 at some stage is a nice jumping point. He didn't do that. Just played there. Yeah, and I think this starts to now favor me after the e5 push. And maybe this is a very important moment. I took with the pawn, hoping, a little bit of hope chess here, but I think e4 might actually be a move. As soon as e4 was not played, I think I'm just immediately better. I might be better already at this stage after the capture, but this is the move that worried me because so many pieces are brought to life. The rook, the bishop, and the knight. They're all brought to life. They have the potential to make use of this square. Winning a pawn, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. That's kind of how I feel. Yeah, maybe it's not enough. I mean, I'm threatening to take and then deploy my bishop to the f4 square. I'm not quite sure. There's something I'm going to definitely take away from this from a structural standpoint. But once this position is achieved, the bishop on e4 is just enormous. There's nothing happening here on the e file, and I could look to play exactly how I did in the game with the g pawn push, open up the g file, and then triple up with the major pieces there. Okay, well, let's confirm things with the computer and see where we can make some improvements. Okay, Stockfish, let's see what we can learn from you. I'm running now with slight adjustment. You can notice on the right, this is now Stockfish 7. It's apparently about 60 elo stronger than the last version. So, okay. We're having it. This is just another system here. I've seen this before. Connecting the knights like this. As mentioned, knight to f5 will knight on f6 can sometimes run into an e5 advance with tempo. This is sidestepped. Let me just go back for one moment. It likes it knight to f6, but yeah. This is a system for sure on the black end. Or is there a big leap here? I mean, I was pretty much locked into just this one idea, knight h4, and then get my f-pawn rolling. Computer likes to just take. Maybe this is slightly... Maybe this is too soon, is it not? This is a far more committal move than castling, isn't it? So going with the least committal move first is probably best. So it suggests castles here. These are just little details, but in Important details, huh? I could consider capturing and then playing c4. And now there's some gaps here. Yeah, you know what? What's one thing to quickly point out? With f6, e6 is now a hole, and capturing like this, maybe there's now a way to take advantage of that square in time. It likes that c4 idea. A knight on e4, quite strong. Okay. I didn't even think about capturing on d5 at this stage. Oh, a knight h4 in this f4 idea. Like c4. I think right around this moment I said c4. I'm not so sure. It gives up d4. No, c4. D takes c, knight takes c. My positional mindset. I don't like having this backward pawn. But white is looking for piece play here. I guess that's the idea, to grant this knight that was on d2 and obstructing my queenside development, get him out of the way and do so with tempo. And then play bishop to e3. Okay, just another idea to be aware of there. A move that helps, in other words, the c4 move, a move that will help, well, puts pressure on d5, and maybe I get a new square for my knight and I could finally complete development. I went with king to h1 as mentioned. I wasn't quite sure. A little bit of a waiting move there. A little passing move. b3, I played c3 here. Yeah, it still gives a slight plus for black. That move it does not like. It did pop up for a moment, knight c4, but I figured, what am I talking about? He's not going to be chased away. I could track down the bishop pair with that move. It still likes black, ever so slightly. Yeah, I can't really, pretty much just even call it. I think in large part because of this space advantage. The strong pawn on d4 in my position. Okay, I closed it up. It's not like that idea. e5 right away. Played king there. Still holding an advantage. e5, what's the trick here? f5 seems appealing. Well, I don't know. I have to give this one some time to think. I don't know how much we can rely upon a computer assessment in such a position where it's so locked. I mean, the clear plans here from a structural standpoint will be black looking to expand on the queen side and strike at c4. This is where they have a space advantage denoted by this pawn in my position on the queen side, whereas I'm looking for a g5 advance. So it's a king's my race. I'm looking to play on the king side, looking to form a pawn duo like so. Black will look to strike like this. It's a big race. Timing will be a great factor. I don't know. I don't know how that would turn out. Like in the computer's eyes, yes, it's giving an advantage for black, but it might be a bit scary to play for black actually. I don't know. You know, one wrong slip and it's their king I'm attacking, and they're playing on the queen side, so it's kind of tough to weigh. Okay. Played king h8. Played a3. Stops knight b4. Yeah, just doing this to provoke something. Maybe g6. Maybe force a retreating move. It's not forced, but I gained just a little bit with that sequence of moves. Bishop there, e5. It keeps calling out for this e5, but I'd kind of be scared to do that. e5, f5, and then throwing that pawn all the way up there. I don't know about that. Now even it has it as even here with this e5 idea for black. Played a4. It still likes this e5 idea, but I still like this reply. Yeah, again, look at how locked this is. This would be a direction I'm going in, and we even just saw a shift there. It's so locked. Can't rely too much on this evaluation. Those locked positions. Opens up. It's a much different story. Knight b1. There's time for these underdeveloping moves because of the closed nature of the position. Knight to b1. Knight a3. We exchange. It likes bishop takes. Pawn takes. Not really liking pawn takes, so they should keep the structure as is. with then knight b5. I expected just bishop back. It's quite natural, and we just go from here. We're still moving very cautiously. We don't know how exactly the position is going to open up. Given some time, I'd like to just play bishop d2 and get my other rook working. Yeah, I don't see that this space advantage over here, with this idea of the a4 and sinking my knight into b5, this play on the queen side is shut down. And so this, I see it as, I kind of interpret this as, well, now that the queen side is shut down, this will buy me time to play on the king side, where I have a slight space advantage, these two 4th rank pawns versus black's two 3rd rank pawns. Okay. So they took with the pawn, does not like that. And now a big moment coming up here after f5 takes. It likes e takes. That's what I did in the game, and this was my concern, so I guess it isn't hitting. e4 is not working. Yeah, I just felt that it was a little bit loose, because if I take with the bishop, I pretty much have to. I don't want to take with the pawn and give them a connected pass pawn. But I'm in a pin. There's new squares available for the pieces. It just felt a little bit of a loose position, but I guess it's still fine. Computer's continuations to drop back with then bishop f4. Yeah, I guess this is fine. There's not a good way to really take advantage of the pin that I'm currently in. Okay, and I think we're going to see a great shift now. After knight b4, bishop e4 is strong, and we are seeing a growing advantage now. So, yeah, it's growing. Pawn and a half now. Okay, king over, and this is just much easier to play. I mean, black is lacking a plan at this stage. Just push with g5. Yeah, space advantage, and we're just seeing the evaluation go crazy. There was even calling out for a mate here, mate in 10, yeah. Okay, yeah, they resigned here. The idea here is I just never want to take with the pawn. I want to crash through with a piece. And that's going to be mate soon. And it calls for knight here, but suppose just knight c2. What's the winning idea? Rook takes, bishop takes, queen here. Oh, and then f6. Everything is brought to life. It's the queen, and okay, yeah, now the threat is queen h6, and then mate. So this is guarding the h7 square with the bishop now. Rook takes f, queen h5, and then mate in 1, 2. Yeah, so it's just collapsing. The idea, don't even allow this pawn, don't even allow the king to, let's say, hide behind a pawn. I devoted all this time to set up the major pieces on the g file, so you don't want to block them in by capturing with the pawn and then have black hide behind that guy. Okay, well, interesting game out of this King's Indian attack. As usual, feel free to leave any feedback in the comments section below to this video, and as usual, I hope you got something out of it. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.